Okay, this will be the last session, so allow me to be a bit more casual. It's my time to share a little bit, especially with the participants of this conference or this seminar. There are faculty members here. Those who want to stay, feel free to stay. But I'm afraid that some of them you have heard the stories, so if you feel like you know the stories, you can also come in the front and share it. So, to our colleagues from Poland, from Mexico, and also students from Permata Pintar, and also the rest of Warga UKM, again, welcome to the EMBC, as we call it, Emerging Market Business Summit. Honestly, while it is brief for just one day, but personally, I think that we have a very good flavor of speakers today. Early in the morning, honestly, most of you are here. Actually, it is a rare session. It's not easy to get Tun Mahathir to be able to speak to all of us. And we are very proud and honored actually to have Tun to be here this morning. And then you listen to Dato Hafsa, the person who are in charge to promote entrepreneurship in the country. And again, another notable speaker. And just now we had Tan Sri Mustafa Kamal. I'm not so sure about whether, especially for our colleagues here, whether are you aware, I mean, I'm sure in a very short period of time, probably it's hard for you to catch who is the person that is talking in front just now. May I just very quickly kind of reintroduce him in a more straightforward manner. How many of you are aware of the Cyberjaya in Malaysia? Cyberjaya, in short, is the Silicon Valley of Malaysia. So the mover or the driver, the person in charge and the person who developed Cyberjaya is a person who spoke just now, Tan Sri Mustafa Kamal. And he's a very well-known corporate figure in the country. But more interestingly, actually at the end, I tried to ask him the questions that he didn't share much with you all. The fact that how much he's fallen in love with the issue of environment and also the issue of sustainability with respect to the forest as well as the orang-utan. So, Tan Sri Mustafa shared his part. And now come to my part. I'm going to basically go very quickly. I hope I can do that. I'm also seem like Tan Sri Mustafa that I couldn't have this microphone with me. Then I tend to speak longer. If I'm too, dragged, please raise your hand and I move on. My intent is actually, especially for our participants, to get a quick overview of what is the state of Malaysian economy. And probably you have been to the economic planning unit, right? You have been to a couple of other institutions to get some idea about where are we moving with respect to our economy. Now, very quickly, we are all here for the emerging markets. This morning, we hear about someone asking about BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, and China, right? How these newly large emerging economies are now dominating the world economy. And what you see here, somewhere in 2011, the world economy actually has been sliced into half. 50% are driven by a developed nation, and another 50% comes from developing economies. Back in 1980s, only about maybe 25% come from developing economies. And even then, at that time, the developing economies are depending on the performance of a developed economy. So now let's see how different it is now. What you see here, look at the three lines here. Look at all the three lines are together and then they are start to be apart. What you see is that over the years, we have these three phases of economic growth process. In the early days, pre-1990, everything is basically determined by developed nations. America, France, Japan, Germany, and all the G7 economies, they are the one who determines the performance of the world economy. But after some time, look at the green line. You start to see the green line are now departing or deviating from that process. And look at the latest up to from here onward. The advanced economic growth are lower, but what pushes world economy is actually the developing economy. That's probably also the reason why we have this summit, why we have this conference, because we want to make sure that future leaders, all of you especially, understand that the role of the emerging economies are getting more and more and more important. Right? So meaning that understanding cross countries between emerging economies are getting more important. We spend more time now. Earlier on, remember Tun Mahathir were talking about we are not supposed to just look to one direction, but look around, find your partners, and understand your partners. So we have now, for example, looking into Mexico. Last year, we have about 100 students from Mexico on campus. And today, we have quite a number of you. And hopefully, in a few months' time, we will be sending about 40 students of Malaysian students to go to Mexico. We are working with Turkey, Ankara. I mean, there are members, I think there are 4 participants from HTP University, from Ankara and so on. So what is important now is that you see that the developing economies, the emerging economies are getting more and more important. Now let me very quickly go into stories of Malaysia. Well, of course, I have to take this opportunity to introduce to you about Malaysia probably in a slightly different way. We set a vision. Who set this vision? Tun Mahathir. The person that spoke, the 4th Prime Minister of Malaysia, somewhere in 1990, he mooted the idea that by 2020, Malaysia should be a developed and advanced economy, high-income economies. And Tun basically envisioned that the economy will be 8 times larger and 4 times richer, and with all the dimensions that make Malaysia's way of advancing the economy to be different. In the sense that we can be rich, but we want to be caring. We can be rich, but we want to be tolerant. For the case of Malaysia, because we are truly Asia, we have a different ethnic groups and so on and so on. So basically, Tun in his speech somewhere in 1991 or so, depicting this vision. So everywhere you go in Malaysia now, you will hear the word Vision 2020. That vision was crafted by the person who talks this morning. That's why when every one of us, especially for the younger generations, we have a group of students there. I don't know whether you are aware of them. Can you stand up, please? These are, all of you, the one that I point. These are a group of students that come from a school which is operating on our campus. Thank you. These are students who are in the gifted student programs, and hopefully that one of them that we look forward to turn to be the first laureates of Malaysia. So I don't know, the challenge is on you guys. You have to work hard on that. Now the vision for 2020 requires us to do several things. But let's look quickly, look into Malaysia's economy very quickly. For those non-economists, don't worry. What you need to understand is just up and down. That's all. What you see here is Malaysian economy as a whole. Look at a couple of points, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This deep down is the period of difficulties for Malaysia, where earlier this morning you heard about Tun Mahathir dealing with 97-98 crisis. This is the worst economic performance that we have since independence. That's why when everyone look at Tun Mahathir, during this period, there is a very debated topics about how to deal with the currency crisis. But we are very lucky in the sense that we are able to get through that. But you start to see that, the world economy, look at the three flags here. They are very near to each other. One element of the new economy that we are facing today, it is very vulnerable, very uncertain. You do not know when is the next crisis to happen. So be ready for this more bouncing of economic performance over the years. Malaysia, again, what you see here, the thick red line, basically this is Malaysia. The way to understand this chart is that what it shows is that if we compare to the peers, countries which is of equivalence to us, we are not bad. I'm not the best, but we are not bad in the sense that on average, we are on the top line, the group of economies that started together with us, but they remain in this class of economy. Again, if we look in 80s, again, you see that we are now competing with a different set of economy. And again, we are quite, not bad, we are above average. The thick red line shows where is Malaysia economy. But the conclusion will be slightly different. Even though if I show you this one, you say that, okay, Malaysia is all right. We are performing okay. But when I bring in Korea, now you start to see problems. Because what you see is that Korea, back in 1980, is about $20 poorer than Malaysia. 1980. Tun Mahathir came in somewhere in around, I think, 1981. 81. But what you see is that, look at Korea's pattern of economic growth. Well, this is, of course, in terms of the growth of the economy. You see that it grows way, way different. That's why I call this as an extraordinary performance. Malaysia's Vision 2020 is trying to take this line to be up there. That's what it means. We want to be extraordinary. If we continue as what we are today, we can be a good nation, but we cannot be superb nations. So Vision 2020 is requiring us to find ways how to make our growth a lot faster and the economy will be a lot richer. Look at, when we started way back in 1980, we are just about in the same class, Malaysia and Korea. But look at how Korea in 2009 has gone, shoom, ways up. So for economists like myself and many other economists, this is something that we want to study. This is something that we want to learn. And for Malaysia, this is basically, in terms of economic income and growth, this is our vision. Now let's look just very quickly what some of the so-called challenges for Malaysia. So now it's very clear. Malaysia wants to be a high income and an advanced nation. You heard about this many, many times. I think if you click in Malaysian economy somewhere, in the Google and searching for Malaysian economy, you will definitely come across this word, the economic transformation programs. All this transformation agenda of the nation. What do we mean by that? In economy, all countries started like this. Basically, in most cases, we are drawing wealth by exploiting or basically leveraging on the resources, the natural resources that we are endowing. In most cases, all countries started like that. There's no country that started straight away into industrializations. It all started with either you mine, you cut, you do mining, and so on and so on. But the problem with this is that it does not last long. In economics, there's something what we call as resource curse. A country that are so rich in resources, natural resources, can easily be trapped by the curse of over-relying on resources. No countries can survive forever. Of course, there are few unique ones, like for example, like in maybe Saudi Arabia, for petroleum and so on, but still, for a normal economies, that are not endowed with these unique resources down the earth, down there, this is not the lasting sources that can generate wealth. So we have to change. We have to change. What do we have to change? This is where Malaysia is when we first started. If you go to one of the states in Malaysia, in Perak, you will see the oldest rubber tree in the country. When you learn about Malaysian economy, sometimes back, way in the 50s, we started with very strong in the rubber plantation. But over the years, we moved. This is the era of Tun Mahathir in the morning. Tun Mahathir basically start to look into the so-called investment. He talks about FDI, foreign direct investment in the morning. He talks about domestic investment, and he talks about manufacturing, export-led, and so on. But again, the challenge for us now is that as we become stronger and more stronger in manufacturing and production, the economy evolves. There are new countries like China that has 1.4 billion populations. There are countries like Vietnam that have maybe around 50 million population. So if you keep on relying on hands and legs to produce your economy, you will not be last long. So the challenge for us now is to go into this knowledge-intensive, innovation-based economy. So in short, what we still want to do farming, but we are doing farming with this kind of machines. It's not to say that we drop farming. That's wrong. We want to do farming, but we want to employ biotechnology in our farming business. We still want to do all kinds of activities, but we want to use more knowledge, more innovation, more creativity, more scientific way of doing things. So that is the vision. Because we believe that with knowledge, many things can happen. And one of it is, it can turn something like this. Watermelon is round in shape. But because of knowledge and innovation and science and development and so on, you have a watermelon that now in this shape. The most difficult part of watermelon is that it rolls like a bowling thing, you know. So that if you manage it wrong, everything will just roll like a ball and then everything will break down. So with this shape of watermelon, no more problem with rolling watermelon. I didn't put up the photos up here, but my challenge to Malaysia, how many of you have tasted durians? Have you seen durians? You've seen the thorny king of fruits, right? That's what we call it. This is a season. Some Malaysians love durian. Some Malaysians probably cannot smell durian because they have the headache. So don't ever try to put durian in the airplane. Never smuggle durian in the airplane and in the hotels because it's forbidden. Right? They will put a sign, no durian and mangosteen in the hotels. Because the moment you put in durian in your room, the whole floor will smell durian. Probably someone has to think how to extract this quality of durian to make it as a perfume. So that when you put a little dot of a perfume, the whole hall will be able to smell your perfume. But not the smell of durian, of course. Not the smell of a perfume. So, or maybe the challenge is to make durian to be duryless. You know, because the hardest part of durian is to hold it because it's thorny and to break it up and then, you know, it's very difficult. So we do not know. Maybe sometimes in the future, durian will be thornless. No durian. So we cannot call it durian. It's just like rambutan without rambut. You know? Now there's another fruit. Rambutan is like a fruit, just like that, with a lot of hairy things out there. So we are thinking about how to turn that rambutan so that it does not have the hair on it. So that's a biotechnology things that have to resolve on it. Now, again, for Malaysia to advance, we basically need to move our economy to this side. This is the knowledge intensity or the Knowledge for Development Index that shows higher income nations tend to have more knowledge intensity in their operations. I also need a little bit of drink. I'm coming to the end of it because I will allow. So there's a vision. How do we operationalize that? This probably will be useful for our foreign participants as well as for some Malaysians. How do we operationalize it? How does Malaysian government mobilize their resources and structure our institutions to promote the transformation? Of course, you have a vision, but after having a vision, how to do it? Which agencies are responsible? Who supposed to do what? And what is that will be a greater interpretation of the transformation? So I will show to you the framework of the so-called how we transform our economy. A good illustration for non-economists. Economy is just like a train. A big train, huge train. What it does is that it takes you from one place to the other. You know, from a low income to the high income. From no job to having a job. From has a less scientific job to a more advanced job. So just imagine a train. This is a crash course in economics. I know there are so many professors of environment, professors of science in front here. Please allow me to show 3 slides, economics, what is economy all about. This is a train. And the task of the train is basically whether, how good is the train? Is that, can the train take you from point A to point B at the right speed or with the right comfort? If you look at this train, it's not comfortable. A lot of people doesn't have a space. Can you see how many females standing here? Maybe 1 here, maybe 2 here. What it means is that this economy does not allow inclusive participation. It means that some people are not able to participate in the economy. Do you see anyone on the wheelchair here? No. What it means is that those who are handicapped, do you see anyone old here? No. Because someone who is at the age of 60 or 70 will not be able to compete and survive in this economy. So we want to make sure that this economy, the train, serves every one of us. In a worst situation, we probably will have something like this. There are economies like that. Can you guess who are the driver for this train? Even the driver can hardly tell that you are the driver. Or maybe this guy. So he's the one who tells the driver down there. This train is overloaded. What it means is that this economy are not able to give a comfortable living for the citizens, right? And there's so many people down here who are not able to take part in the economy. Some are taking part a very risky way. Look at this guy. This guy. He is holding to this guy. This guy is holding to this guy. This guy is holding to this guy somewhere inside there. What does that mean? In economics, there is something what we call the dependency ratio. What it means is that I am depending on your income, you are depending on somebody else, and you are depending on somebody else. Anything happen to you, all of us will fall off. Very interesting, right? It's easy to understand economy. So we don't want our economy to be like this. Some countries are having difficulties of assuring that the economy is right. So in our case, when you see the color, let's try to do it one more time. Imagine that from this train, and now Malaysia's economic transformation will make the Malaysian economy to be like that. Ha! You feel like, ha! How you wish that your economy is like this, right? That gives a high speed and also basically to give everybody a good seat and comfortable ride. You know, in our economy, that's all what it means. You want to transform the economy, you want to make the economy better and advanced, but you have to make sure that every one of us get the space into this train. And probably something better than that. Aha. What's wrong? Remember Tun Mahathir were telling about the driver and the professor, or the professor and someone else? Don't try to equate the salary. You know, extreme equality is very dangerous. Then you try to be like, you know, everybody, no matter how hard you work, you are getting the same. So we don't want to promote that kind of economy. Very quickly, in Malaysia, for us, there is something what we call the new economic model. The new economic model basically has 3 pillars. Simple. One of our board member of the university is the one who involved in setting up this. Datuk Hamzah is one of the economic advisory panel when they craft the new economic model. It has high income, inclusiveness, and sustainability. What we hope for is for this triangle to become as big as possible, such that whenever we progress, we want to make sure that the quality of living increase. Not only for just ourselves, but for everyone, and then everybody can participate and it can last long. Simple. What is economic transformation for Malaysia? We want to create an economy that has high income and advanced, inclusive and sustainability. So that's Malaysia's formula. Some of the colleagues from Poland, from Japan, from Mexico, earlier on we have also members from the Asean nations. If you want to understand Malaysia's vision, this is what we vision for. Of course, it is not easy to be translated, but that is the vision that is being set for Malaysia. And the way we operationalize is very quickly. We have this model. We envision what Malaysian economy is going to be in 2020. We have so-called, now this is important, this is the ETP, Economic Transformation Programs. Under the ETP, there is 2 major initiatives. One is the NKEA, New Key Economic Areas, and Structural Reforms. These are focusing on growth. These are focusing on the structure. And also we have the GTP, which is the Government Transformation Programs that focus on 7 priority areas. So, if you are returning back to your country, asking about how Malaysia is going to transform, this slide will explain at least 90% of it. So thank you very much. I think that's all that I want to share with you. And if there are burning questions, you may stand up and ask questions related to this or any other thing, since we are coming to the closing of this so-called conference. I would allow you to ask, not only me actually, in front of me there are Deans of Faculty of Science. Now I'm passing my task. Dean of Faculty of Social Science, the Deputy Vice Chancellor, International for Research, International Relations, UKM Strategy, International Relations, Economics Dean, so they can respond to you. So participants especially, any questions that you think that you would like to ask us, me, and also the experts in front of you? Yes, please. Yes. We keep, let's say, 1, 2, and 3. May I allow professors, please be ready to respond as well. If I cannot respond, then you have to respond. Okay, can we start with you first? Just very brief, and then introduce yourself and ask the questions. Passing mine. And then we have 2 more on this side, right? Okay. Someone ready to bring microphone there? Please, go ahead.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Firstly, thank you for the given chance. I'm Indonesian student who's studying in Japan. I would like to ask.
Come closer. Yeah.
I would like to ask what the Malaysia is going to do for transformation economy to an economic community that are going to be held in next year.
All right.
Thank
okay. So that's one question. ASEAN Economic Community. Okay. Can we take 2 more questions there?
Prof.
Okay.
My name is Qiyam Mukhtar. I'm from Afghanistan.
Okay.
I'm a student of Faculty of Economics.
Okay.
At morning, I participated in the speech of
Tun?
Mahathir Mohamad.
All right.
Actually, my research is also on FDI, foreign direct investment. So one of my questions is that what was the motivation of welcoming of FDI to Malaysia?
Okay.
What was the motivation?
All right.
And the second question is regarding with regionalism. And 21st century, we see that we're living in the era of globalization.
Okay.
And we see that in 21st centuries, we have regionals like Asian Association of
Yes.
Saudis and also South Asian, SAARC.
Okay.
So what will be the impact of this regionalism on economies?
Okay.
And these 2 questions.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
2 only. All right.
Okay. My name is Marek Piecek. I'm from Warsaw School of Economics, and I would like to ask you about where is the advantage of Malaysia to compare with other countries from your region? Because let's say that Malaysia is a company, so one of the rules of fundamental analysis is to check that your growth is not connected with the growth of the whole sector. That it's gaining momentum. That your where's your
Okay. What's our strength? What's our advantage?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone would like to take up and respond to this? Anyone? Yeah. No. I mean. Okay. Let me throw my view of it. Of course. Don't worry. I mean, sometimes professors are allowed to give wrong answers. First question is on the ASEAN Economic Community. ASEAN are composed of 10 nations. Uniquely, almost half of the population of ASEAN, or even the cake of the economy, is actually in Indonesia by size, by the size. There are 3 classes of countries in ASEAN. It's very unique because within the OECD, for example, all countries are high-income nations, right? They are peers. They are the same class. But within ASEAN, we have countries that have an income of a high-income nation per capita basis, like Singapore and Brunei. Rich economy, per capita-wise, but of a different nature. One is a very service-oriented, advanced in terms of technological sophistication. The other one, Brunei, is relying very much on the endowed natural resources, oil and gas. So that's the first class of country. And then we have the second class of country, which is sometimes we call it the first 4 ASEAN. Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, and Philippines. We can say they are of the same class. Malaysia is a bit at the high end compared per capita wise compared to the rest 3 countries. And then we have another 4 countries, what we call as CLMV: Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, and Vietnam. So while we have a country that maybe the whole world are praising, maybe in terms of advancement like Singapore, many says that it is an advanced nation in many ways, but we have among the poorest country in the world, Laos. and also Myanmar. You can imagine how difficult is it to get kind of all of these three classes of economy to really work together. So that is one of the, I would say, challenges in front of us. But the vision is big. We want to turn this economy, this region, to be the ASEAN economic community that basically, in the short, what it means is that a more easier and freer mobility of resources, mobility of capital, mobility of talents, and so on and so on. So those are issues. For example, if you are trained as an architect, you are a Malaysian trained architect, you are certified by the Malaysian Architect Council. Prof Mazuki, correct me if I'm right or wrong. One of the issues is that can you certify professional drawings in Indonesia, right? You can't. Someone who are trained as an architect in Indonesia, can he certify the design of the building in Thailand? You can't. Because countries are divided by their own rules and guidelines and professional body requirements and so on. In short, the ASEAN economic community is attempting to address some of these problems. It means that we are unified, we adopt the same rules and regulations. Of course, not all, but the vision is to be something like that. Probably mobility of talents and resources. You can flow in and out and operate across the border. So, for Malaysia, of course, we benefit from this ASEAN economic community, but I have to admit that day by day. I give you one example, one numbers. In 1980, remember Tun were talking about FDI, foreign direct investment? In 1980, about 35% of the foreign direct investment that come to ASEAN landed in Malaysia. And Vietnam got almost zero. If you round it up, they are zero. 0%. Several years back, we got about 14% of the total cake of foreign direct investment that come to ASEAN, and like it or not, Vietnam also got about 14%. So competition is there. It's very serious. And neighboring up there is China. So we have to really strategize ourselves. At least the first and foremost is to make sure that we understand what is this AEC and what are the implications. Anyone would like to respond to the second questions? FDI, I think, motivation of FDI. Are they coming here? You know, back in the early 70s and 80s, when we attracted FDI, the focus is only one. For Malaysia, give us a job. Just give us a job. You went to Penang Island in the 70s and 80s, there are so many foreign direct investment, even here across in this campus town, Bandar Baru Bangi, you went out there, you'll see a lot of foreign direct investment operating here. When they first came to Malaysia, the focus is, for them probably, I want a cheaper place. I want to operate my, my factories at the lower cost. I want to make sure that I can get the lowest cost. So motivation is about getting the lowest cost. And to us, just give us a job. Today, no longer. We want a job, but we put a condition. We want a sophisticated jobs. If you comes in, we don't ask so much about how many jobs that you create, but we ask about what kind of technology that you are bringing to the country. So motivations, you point it right. Motivations of investors are very different. And I think on the region, I responded to that. In terms of the unique offerings of Malaysia, I'm sure when you are on the plane coming to Malaysia, when you flip up the pages on some of our economic activities, one unique thing, the simple, is that when we attract tourism to come to Malaysia, we say Malaysia truly Asia. Meaning that you spend 1 week in Malaysia, you enjoy 80% of Asia. So that's unique because you can get a different culture. You know, nowadays we are in the mood of celebrating the Eid, which is the Muslims, mostly Malay dominated Muslims. And then if you stay here a bit longer, you probably will see Deepavali, the Hindus celebration. And then you have Gongzi Fachai, the Chinese celebration. And then you have Christmas and so on and so on. So Malaysia is through Asia. That is unique for us. But on the other side might also be a problems. So we have to learn how to deal with it. But Malaysia tried to position ourselves to be a place where you can basically advance yourself. What Tan Sri Mustafa Kamal, the person that spoke before me, were talking about, when his vision in 2016, he wants to see Cyber Jaya. I hope you have time to at least pass through the Cyber Jaya. If you happen to be on the bus, if you have a time, please request them to pass through Cyber Jaya, and you will see a different Malaysia. Because his vision, he was challenged by Tun Mahathir to develop this so-called an area, is a very location that are uniquely strong in the ICT industries. And in the early days, many of us were, maybe some of us were laughing at it. But today, we are able to attract, you know, highly advanced operations of multinationals and so on. So Malaysia is positioning ourselves. Surely we are out of the era of old kind of agriculture. We still do agriculture, but we do agriculture with knowledge and scientific advancement. So I think that's probably my quick response to that. Well, any burning questions? Anything? Ask other professors, especially for our colleagues from abroad. I just want to close in 3 minutes. Anyone have any questions? Yes, 2 please.
Assalamualaikum and very good afternoon to Professor Datuk. I'm Muhammad Razwan from Faculty of Dentistry, UKM, and I have a question to address you. Regarding the UKM's policy in order to increase the graduates' employability in terms of locally as well as internationally. Okay. Maybe you can comment on that. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Employability. And the other one?
Yeah. Hello, I'm from Mexico. And I just have
¿Cómo estás?
¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien. Okay.
Okay, just one question. And in 2020, absolutely all population have access for all service mentioned?
One more time?
Yes. In 2020, absolutely all population have access for all service mentioned? All okay. Population.
Access to economic participation. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I can share this. I mean, you heard about, see, when Tan Sri Mustafa Kamal is sharing, his voice was a bit, I think he has a sore throat or he speaks like that. So it's hard to understand him sometimes. It's just a matter of how he converses, and he loved to run from the microphone. Tan Sri Mustafa Kamal is a person who's developing the so-called Malaysia's Silicon Valley. He noticed that the problems in his area, in the region, in that location, is that there is not enough talents. He brought in 300 students from the universities in Malaysia and then put them in the interview. Out of 300 students, only 7 of them are being selected. And these are by what he used the term high impact companies. Companies that are multinationals, advanced, sophisticated, and so on. So one of the problems as pointed by our colleagues from Asia is the issue of employability. Maybe later on some of you from Poland, from Mexico can also share this. Do you have that problems in your country? in our case, yes, there are serious debate about the employability of graduates from the universities. The person here, he will not look at you. Can you please stand up, Prof. Isa? He is also the person who chaired these programs. And Prof. Isa also now is recently being appointed as the director for the Career UKM, the office that will address the issue of employability in full. First hope, in weeks to come, in about 2 weeks to come, we are going to receive the new intakes, the new students for the new sessions, about maybe around 3,000 of them. One of our goal is, many of you are students here, we want to make sure that you realize that and you understand that at the end of your stay on campus, you have to leave the campus. All of you, many of you are university students. Please understand that when you enter as a student, there will be a point, there will be a date where we call it convocation here, where you have to leave the university. That is the end, at least in terms of the studying period, that will really test to what extent that you have able to accumulate values in yourself. And of course, employability is one of the issues. We want to make sure our students are aware of that, and we are creating mechanisms so that students can always enhance their values, not only through classes, but also through many other ways and mechanisms, activities, and so on. For example, you are from dentistry. I always say this to my colleagues. What we hope is that you don't only know how to deal with the teeth, but we want you to understand geography. If you are students of business, we don't want you just to understand business, but we want you to understand nanotechnology. If you are students of science, we don't want you just to end up understanding science, but we want you to understand history. And what it means is that you must be able to kind of cross and be able to apply yourself within the context of this knowledge. On the final questions, in terms of the ability of all to participate. See, in the economy, there is always, you can cut it into two. There will be a small piece of the population, which is probably because of the nature, in the sense that, for example, the handicapped people or the elderly people at the 80 years old, 90 years old, we have to deal with that in the way that they still need some welfare transfer and so on. But what we hope is that everybody who want to work, everybody who want to put themselves in some activities that carry values, they will have access and opportunity for that. So what we hope is that, for example, even education nowadays, in Malaysia, we promote this so-called lifelong learning very seriously, retooling and reskilling. Someone who has been in the job market, someone who has been working for years, but able to access some of the educational services so that you can keep on improving yourself. Our students are involved also in various community works. For example, we have programs where we go to the the rural areas and train them and expose them to the usage of ICT in entrepreneurship and so on and so on. So, of course, as I said earlier, there's a vision. It's not easy to achieve that, but at least we have a clear vision about doing so. Okay, so with that, I think I end up the session. Before I pass it to the MC, I would like to thank to all the participants, to all the faculty members who are joining here, and we wish you the best. And please, at any time, whenever you become a minister or the prime minister or the president of your country, please do not forget Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia. Thank you very much.